As a part-time job at a Meineke. I went to automotive technology. I didn't want to be at a Meineke, but I couldn't believe, I was in such disbelief the kind of stuff that went on there. Everything that I learned at tech school was pretty much out the window there.
It came down to, I was looking to make more money. I was spending probably, basically like a brand new car payment on tools every month, and that's pretty normal as a technician to do that, especially when you're starting off. A good portion, I would say probably 25% of what you make is going to go back into it if you want to be successful and not have to borrow stuff from everyone around.
Yo, get the speaker box loud, hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound.
All right, I'm gonna sit here and watch it.
All right, Jims and Franks, we're not gonna talk about the fact that we just talked to ourselves for 45 minutes and never started recording. We're gonna try to keep it a little shorter and sweeter for you this time. I think there's a couple things we want to highlight, as to why we got where we are now, and we kind of have a good idea of what those things are that we want to talk about, since we just ran through a whole test spiel.
Yeah, we should be good at talking now. We've just been talking to ourselves for 45 minutes at least. I don't know, it could have been longer than that.
So we figured out, we start off, I guess, basically summarize our backgrounds as to, what got us into this trade. Zach can start off first because he's the eldest, so I kind of followed in his footsteps a little.
So I went to school for automotive technology and just automotive in general. Junior year, automotive tech, senior year. At the time I was in high school, I was already working a part-time job. Some of you guys know I was at Green Mountain Cyclery at the bike shop. Mostly a good experience. Didn't pay super well, but at the time, I was younger and I was at a job that was exciting and fun, and we were big into BMX and stuff back then. And I got to do a lot of cool things from working there. They sent me out to California and whatnot. I won't get into all that, but it was a good job to teach me customer service, sales experience, and I did some wrenching there on the bikes too. When I got out of school, I was kind of like, do I want to leave this place? I already kind of worked my way up there to go work on cars. I love cars. I always worked on my own cars and stuff, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a career change yet. Later on, stuff kind of went south there, and I don't have any regrets or hard feelings about what happened there, but I got into working on cars originally as a part-time job at a Meineke, and it was supposed to just hold me over until I found something better, because I was like, I went to automotive technology. I didn't want to be at a Meineke, but I had a buddy that was there, and it was a part-time job to get me through until I found something. It ended up turning into a lot more than that. I kind of got stuck there, worked my way up there, and tried to make some improvements there, because everything that I learned at tech school was pretty much out the window there, because I was like, I couldn't believe, I was in such disbelief the kind of stuff that went on there. And you know, I don't want to go into super detail about it. Like, I'm not trying to badmouth anyone, but in the years of being there, it actually, you know, it grew into something that wasn't as bad as what I walked into originally, but it still was not, you know, it didn't sit right with me. And, you know, the years I was there, I looked for jobs at other shops, I had some interviews and stuff. And, you know, the more I looked around, the more I talked to other friends that were in the trade, you know, that had experience at other shops and stuff, the more I kind of got this picture that, you know, a lot of these shops either weren't doing stuff right, maybe they were doing stuff right, they were all overcharging people, and you know, just a lot of dishonesty and just not doing stuff the way that, you know, I knew it should have been done from tech school, and just, you know, how I would want it done if it was my car. Morals, yeah, their morals go out the window at a lot of shops. So, and it, you know, it's not the guys actually turning the wrenches, they're just, you know, a lot of times following instructions on what they're told to do by higher up management or owners or whatever. And you know, I won't say every shop out there is like that, but I would say most of what I was seeing was, it was going to be hard for me to find a shop that did stuff the way I wanted to do, not necessarily the way I wanted it done, but the way it should have been done, and still doing it for, you know, a fair price and being honest with people. So, you know, at some point, I made the decision where I liked working on cars. I didn't want to give up working on cars, and it was, I probably could have looked a little bit harder to try and find a good shop to get in at, but, you know, to me, in my eyes, I was like, I'm going to just start my own shop. And leading up to that was doing a lot of side work for people. Brandy was a big help. She was always there with me when we were doing side work. A lot of times she was turning wrenches with me too. Sometimes she was just handing me tools, or, you know, just being supportive and being there. But between her and I, we went from, you know, doing some jobs for people on the side to, you know, have a little extra money. Times are tough. I think for everyone right now, the economy's shit. And it went from a day here and a day there to we had more stuff than we could get done on the side. So that was another big thing that was like, hey, we need to look for a shop and, you know, find a place where we can do this the right way for people. I think Matt had a little bit of a different experience in the automotive field. He's a bit younger than me, but I would say just as experienced. I think he worked at, you know, at least one place, if not a couple places that were better shops and trying to do stuff the right way. And, you know, for him, I think it came down to pay at the time, and he was a younger tech. So, you know, I'll let Matt kind of explain his background.
Yeah, I think I definitely, I mean, I guess I'll start with the same thing as Zach. I mean, being his younger brother, being into cars, probably, I mean, I've been into engines and anything with wheels since I was a kid, but I pretty much followed in his footsteps with going to CTC and going for transportation and everything like that, and getting into the auto. I think when I did CTC, I never really intended on making a job out of it. It was kind of more so just because I had interest in it and I wanted to learn, you know, more about how everything worked and whatnot. And I also started at the bike shop. Was my first like full-time job that Zach had helped me get in there, and that was a very great opportunity to learn customer service and even like working on the bikes and stuff there. It wasn't anything like working on a car, but it is, you know, it does.
There's still some stuff that carries over for sure.
It definitely shares similar principles and stuff, but that was, you know, that was very early on in really both of our working careers. We kind of learned, you know, to work with each other, and I think it definitely reflects now I don't know that we ever thought we would be running our own business together, or, you know, even just working at the same job like that again after, you know, things went the way they did there. But because of getting out of the bike shop there at the time that I did, it kind of happened quickly, and I hadn't really figured out what I wanted to do as far as a career path and whatnot yet at that point. And I had some certs and stuff from going to CTC. I had my inspection and emissions license, and that, you know, I happened to find a job at Valvoline in Sinking Spring, You know, basically just as like an oil change boy to start off. And that was while I was still in school, so I hadn't had my inspection emissions license and stuff, so it actually felt pretty good to get hired at that place at that time and be able to make some money while I was still in school. But I worked there for a while and kind of felt like, what's up, buddy?
Good thing guys didn't
We
leave.
got a special interview podcast guest here. What'd you forget?
I leave my heat in there.
Your what?
Yeah, I'll give it back to you when you hand over my picks.
Your what?
My pick tool.
Oh, hey, yeah.
I'm holding it hostage, baby. You just busted right in here during our interview.
Oh crap.
You're good. We already filmed it once for you.
Oh, we got interrupted here by this guy stealing our tools. Where were we? Matt was at Valvoline.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I spent a decent amount of time, I think like a year and a half or so at the Valvoline, and fortunately enough for me, there was some technicians there that I was able to learn from and learn a lot more there than I would have thought I learned from from an oil change place. But I was definitely looking to get into a shop that did more extensive repairs and at least a place that I would have the opportunity to get into more of like the repair work and not just be doing mostly oil changes all day. So I looked around and I found a family-owned business that did basically auto and heavy truck. So there was a lot more, just availability of and different types of work and stuff within this industry. So I knew I would have a lot more learning opportunity there. And I guess just more freedom as a technician as well. That was Highland Auto and Truck Repair. The owners there were great to me. Most of the technicians and stuff that I worked with there were very helpful, and it was definitely a good place for a young technician to get in and learn a lot of stuff and at least be valued by their employers. It's something that I think a little bit different experience between me and Zach there. I had a lot of resources and stuff, at my disposal, and even though I didn't know how to use them properly, I most of the time would have someone that knew how to that could, wouldn't do it for me, but would kind of help me along the way. And I learned a lot there and enjoyed it, and definitely got to a point where, I felt like I was doing a lot for what I was getting out of it personally, and the learning was great. I can't say that, I would have definitely continued to learn more working there, especially with all the different stuff that I saw. They did a lot of like fleet servicing for companies and stuff, so I got to work on medium duty trucks, anything from, smaller cars and trucks up to, I even got to mess with the big trucks a little bit here and there, which was cool. It wasn't something that I would have gotten out of working at a place like the Valvoline. So I think, moving over to there, and I got to do some more stuff with customers and stuff there. I pretty much got to do all my own service writing and learn a lot of, not just the working on the cars portion of the trade. It kind of taught me a lot of what I needed to know to do this now with Zach. And so I worked there for a while, and it basically came down to, I was looking to make more money. I was spending probably, basically like a brand new car payment on tools every month, and that's pretty normal as a technician to do that, especially when you're starting off. You're, a good portion, I would say probably 25% of what you make is going to go back into it if you want to be successful and not have to borrow stuff from everyone around you. And have tools that you're comfortable with and you can use day in, day out.
Yeah, that was one thing we touched a little bit on when we were talking to ourselves with the camera off. There's lots of trades and stuff you can get into, but automotive is one where, as a technician, you're expected to, and you don't have to go buy Snap-on everything. You don't need a giant Snap-on box or whatever, but like, regardless, the amount of tools you need, whether you buy them from Harbor Freight and then break them and upgrade them as you break them or whatever, you can have, $20,000 easily in the tools as a starter tech. And,
just within the first few years.
first year. And if you're, required to pretty much have every shop's a little bit different. There's some shops where you can share a lot of tools, and there's some shops where you have to have your own tool for everything, and then, you know, some shops where you have, you know, the shop has the big tools and you just have to buy your hand tools or whatever. It's all different, but you know, it's not crazy for a shop to, or for a technician to have $50,000 to $100,000 in tools sometimes. And you know, you look at what most technicians make, you're not making $50,000 to $100,000. I think, you know, I was probably around $50,000. You know, maybe a little bit higher than that. I'm not quite sure what, but like when I got out of working at the shop I was at, that's about what I was making. And I was basically running the shop, training people, writing estimates, taking care of all the customers. I mean, like, other than doing payroll and like the stuff that an accountant did, which we had, you know, we paid somebody to do that. I was pretty much fully running that shop and training guys while, you know, still being the main technician. So to have that amount of tools there, you know, I refused to, because, you know, there was already tools there for me to use, and I didn't make enough money to have that much money in tools there. I had my tools at home, and I was using them to make enough money to get by, you know, helping people out on the side and stuff for a few years or whatever. You know, and that led me to this. But anyway, I cut you off.
Oh, you're good. That pretty much kind of stems into where I went after I got done at Highland, and it wasn't, I had nothing against that place. I enjoyed working there a lot, obviously learning all the stuff that I did, and really it was hard to leave the people that I worked with there, because I had a lot of relationships with my coworkers and the owners. They were, you know, treated me like family, and that, you know, it was great. And I saw myself, you know, if I had stayed there, you know, I didn't see myself as unhappy or anything like that, but it was hard for me to justify, you know, at that point in my life, I was, you know, looking for independence, and you think about, you know, having your own house and stuff one day and what all that stuff cost, and you realize, like, you know, there's a lot of other trades and stuff out there that I could go and start there with no experience and start making, you know, almost twice what I was making as a mechanic, and not have to spend all that money on the tools and stuff. And, you know, I also had a hobby working on cars. I enjoyed, you know, tinkering on that stuff on my own time. So to do it as a job all day and then come home and, you know, try to, you know, enjoy working on my stuff was tough. And so I kind of explored my other options, and one of the other trades I was interested in as a job was welding. And at the time, High Steel was hiring third shift for a pretty high starting rate, so I applied there, had an interview, did well at my interview, but, you know, when I came to actually taking the weld test, they pretty much critiqued everything I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. They handed me a stinger and a rod, and you know, it wouldn't have surprised me if I put the rod and the stinger backwards, because I didn't even know what I was looking at. So I was able to get a job there. I did really well, you know, quickly off the bat. I think when I started there, they had told me it was like 1.5 years to train someone to be, you know, what my position was, to be, you know, thorough and be able to do everything on your own. And I was only in the shop for 2 or 3 months, and they were already having me train the new guys that were coming in. So it felt good, you know. I enjoyed working there. I learned a lot of cool stuff. I got to, you know, get half decent at welding, which was something I always wanted, you know, and had interest in. But the bigger thing than that, it was like I felt like, you know, the time I was putting into that place, it was a four-night schedule. I had a lot of free time on the weekends, and I felt like I was actually making a decent amount of money for what I was putting into it. But it was kind of a double-edged sword, because the environment that I was working in, you know, working on cars and stuff before, it was never a clean environment. And, you know, there was some days where you questioned, you know, hey, should I be breathing this in, or, you know, should I be getting this oil and coolant and everything on my skin? And you think about how it's bad for you, but then, you know, you end up in a different trade where you realize, you know, hey, it could be a lot worse than that. And that was like, I got to a point working in that weld shop where it's like, this is like, I enjoy doing it, it's fun, but like, if I stay here for a long time, like, it's gonna have serious, you know, effects on my health and everything like that. And long term, you know, you can't
Yeah,
imagine
talk-
that that's going to be good for anyone.
Talk to any welder that's done it for a lifetime. You know, what I mean, they'll tell you, you know, the stuff that you have to breathe in, and you know, even if you have the right PPE and stuff,
It's hard on your butt.
when you're doing it for your lifetime, you know, you come out of that trade and you know, you're wrecked.
Yeah, sure. And so, with that being said, you know, I think that was one of the things that it had me thinking, like, hey, you know, this is good for right now, but, you know, I should probably start looking into something else, or at least figure out how I can get myself to a point in that industry or in this company that I'm not directly involved with that stuff. And I was looking into doing like quality control and getting into that kind of stuff at the time that we had found the shop here. And around that time, I was also looking for a place to store some of my tools that I had that I wasn't really using as much anymore, and just some of my car parts and things like that. And Zach had found the shop, and he was at a point where he was ready to do it for himself, but he wasn't going to be able to make the switch in a day's time to be able to, I think, you know, he could have afforded to do the shop on his own, but it was a lot easier for both of us. Like, we knew if we were going to try to find what we were looking for on our own, we were going to be making ourselves struggle to try to do it.
I think as a single technician, you know, trying to start his own shop, you know, I was looking for a place to do this for a while. A lot of it comes down to there's not a lot, at least in our area, a lot of great places where you're legally allowed to work on cars as a business due to zoning and, you know, other stuff, and making sure stuff's properly dealt with and all that. And then, you know, so finding a place to do this was hard, and then finding a place that was in a budget for me to start out, you know, I don't know that I ever intended on just being me forever. You know, I wanted to get Brandy here at some point. And, you know, I didn't know for sure if Matt was looking into it at that point, but, you know, I'm glad that it worked out or whatever. But, you know, we found this place. I probably could have, and, you know, even if I could have, I probably would have tried to swing this place by myself, but it worked out that Matt needed a place to go with his tools, and he wanted a place where he could work on stuff in his free time. You know, I knew he was maybe not happy with where he was at High Steel at that moment, so there was definitely talk about him coming on, you know, as an employee or a partner or something, you know, at some point. And then, you know, eventually it worked out that we're here and we're partners and whatnot. But yeah, like Matt said, it would have been very hard to do this size of shop by myself, but I think where I was so determined to do it, and I knew I had the customer, you know, I knew I had the customers backing me, and I had enough to stay busy for at least just me. I didn't know that I was going to be as busy as we've been, but I knew I could make enough to get by at least while I was getting started.
Yeah, I remember when we found this place, or when you found this place and you asked me about it, I knew you were going to do it either way, but the ways I came about it, to me, you know, it was like, basically, you know, I could kind of use your help to go in on this, and it would be a good opportunity, you know, for both of us. Basically just made it easier for him to pull the trigger on it.
For sure.
A little bit less stress than trying to swing it and, you know, possibly have it fail. So, and for me, it was a no-brainer, because the offer, you know, for what we have here, we were very fortunate to come across it, and you know, our landlords are very, very good people. They treat us well. We kind of help each other out here. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, they maybe don't know how to do that we can help them out with, and there's a lot of times where we don't have the equipment we need, or they're a little bit better with this. They do stuff with cars and salvage cars and that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more in depth part of this industry that we haven't really messed with too much ourselves. So being able to help each other out, it's worked out really well. But that kind of is what got me into the shop with Zach, because we both were doing auto repair around the same time.
It's crazy that we didn't, you know, come together more, and that's, you know, I'm super thankful that I get to spend more time with my brother. I want to, you know, I wouldn't want to how to do it with anyone else, you know what I mean, starting a business and all that. But, you know, it's crazy that when we, you know, back, you know, years ago, we were both working in the auto industry and
Doing side work on the side, and
like we should
basically
have
had
teamed
the
up
same-
back then, but we were just both busy with life and not
didn't
really.
even necessarily realize that we had the same goals.
Yeah.
And if we would have talked about it back then, stuff was way cheaper back then. We probably could have found a shop back then if we would have both went in together. But life, does what it does for a reason. But that was kind of what had got me back into the mechanics, was seeing Zach do it here, and make the transition between working his job and doing it on the side here, into doing it full time for himself. I got to kind of help him a little bit here and there, and there was days where I would, work a 12 at High Steel. I'd get off in the morning, come over here, and be getting here, shortly after Zach got here, after I got myself settled, after working all night, and I would do my best to try to help him out during the day, but I still saw him pulling 14, 16-hour days here, at least during the week, and most weekends he was here working still. And it was nice to be able to help him out and make a little bit of extra money. But it became really tiring to try to do both for me, enjoy my daylight, help him out, get what I needed to do done at work,
Matt was running on fumes. I mean, I think I was too.
I saw that he was, and it gave me the motivation to help him out and do what I was doing. But there was days I know where I would sleep 2 hours and go back in for a 12-hour night at High Steel. And I saw Zach was working 14 to 16-hour days at the same time, and he might have been fortunate to get a little bit more sleep than me, but he also wasn't fortunate enough to enjoy any of his daylight, outside of actual work. And not that he wasn't enjoying what he was doing here, I'm sure he was, and he was very grateful to be doing it for himself, and doing it the way that it should be done. But at the same time, you're working 16 hours in a shop, you're not really getting to enjoy much life outside of that. So I noticed that, and I was, already on the thought of, what High Steel was doing to me as far as, my health and whatnot. And it became evident pretty quickly that there was a place for me here to help Zach out. And, we kind of started talking about it a little bit and kind of came up with a plan to transition me in here. We wanted to make sure that it was going to be feasible for both of us to be here before we just jumped into it, and it happened a lot quicker, I think, than both of us thought it would.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stemmed from the fact that Zach knew he was going to have work. He knew that from the side work that he already had.
I had more side work than I could do, but so I knew I'd have enough work for me here, but the amount of work that came since we opened was
more than one person could
insane,
handle.
especially that we stayed, super busy all through winter, which is most shops, slow time.
Yeah, that's
So
if you're gonna have a slow time, it's normally gonna be around the holidays through Christmas, and when no one has any money to spend around that time, and not even just that either. But everyone travels when it's nice and it's warm out. That's when your vehicles are seeing the most wear and tear, and everyone wants their AC to work when it's warm, and that just the AC alone, is a whole abundance of extra work that shops see. So yeah, to keep both of us busy all through winter, and most of our advertisement was just done by word of mouth. I think we definitely made the right decision to get both of us here. I'm happy to be here and not be on third shift anymore. Even though most trades are not the greatest for your health and physical body, but this is definitely, I think, in some ways it's harder on your body, but I think overall it's better for you than welding is. So I'm happy to not be dealing with that anymore. And honestly, I would say the best part about it is working with someone that values you. We don't look at each other, we look at each other as, equals, and, we're both here doing all the same stuff every day. Some of it, I struggle with more than Zach does, and vice versa, and we can kind of, it works out well because our different experiences in the trade allow us to,
kind of help each other out.
Overcome difficulties one way or the other.
I want to give people a little bit of a timeline of, how this all transpired, I guess, so they can kind of keep up with what's going on. But we found this place in January of 2023. I think there was some other stuff going on with the parking lot, and I forget exactly how it went down, but I don't think we started moving stuff in here until February. February, Matt, at this time, Matt was looking for a place to go with a lot of his stuff, just for, storage more or less, and maybe a place to work on stuff. But so Matt had some stuff moved in here and whatnot. This shop was completely bare and empty. This waiting room behind us, we built. We wanted to get lifts in here. There were no lifts in here. The concrete wasn't thick enough. I think these used to be chicken coops at one point. But we knew we had to pour concrete if we wanted lifts, so there was doing that stuff and whatnot.
Getting all the business stuff set up.
Figuring out all the business stuff. I had to go get the LLC and the EIN and all that stuff filed. And anyone that's wanting to start their own business, don't be scared of that stuff. It's not a big deal. Save up a couple $100, have a notary do it. They'll give you everything you need to go to the bank and get a business bank account set up and stuff. But so I want to say maybe March, somewhere around that time, we were still moving stuff in, trying to figure stuff out. I don't think we definitely didn't have concrete or lifts or anything like that in here. Maybe some of our own projects and tools and stuff. I guess word got out that we were in here and we were trying to start a business or whatever, so we ran into some stuff with the township we had to deal with as far as occupancy permits and a bunch of stuff we didn't realize we were going to have to deal with. So at the time it was a little bit stressful, but it ended up being not really a big deal. That stuff kind of drug out a couple months because of timing for the township meetings and this and that or whatnot, but that gave us some more time. We knew everything would kind of work out, but we had a lot of people telling us, oh, it might not work out, you might get screwed. So, until we knew we could actually open a business up at this location, we didn't want to put too much money into it at that point. But, everything worked out. We used that time to get some tools and stuff in here we needed. We had concrete poured, got the first lift in. I was basically June, July-ish, where we actually officially opened up. At that time, it was just me here, and Matt tried to help me with some stuff, but he was still at High Steel, and I don't think we fully decided what we were doing as far as if he wanted to come here or if he wanted to leave there yet. Brandy was helping me out in the evenings. When Matt talks about him working at High, being here in the morning and then coming here before work and seeing me here, that was that time period. A couple months went by. Matt was pretty much set on coming here. We talked about him being a partner, and at that point we got a lift in here for Matt. We got concrete poured and stuff, and that was what, November?
Middle of October is when I left High Steel. I think I had initially planned on coming here start of November, and then it ended up working out that I was able to get out of High Steel a little bit sooner, and I'm sure at that point Zach was pretty worn down from the long days, so it probably worked out well to have it happen a little bit sooner. But yeah, right around October, and since like the middle of October, we've both been here full time, just committed to the shop, and we don't, this is our main responsibility, so it's nice to have full focus on this. And I think with both of us being here, there's enough time, in our own lives now that we can actually, have a second at the end of the day to sit back and relax, But at the end of the day, yeah, some days. At the end of the day, I mean, with anytime, if you're running a business, especially if you're looking to, improve and, get more out of it than, just working for yourself, you definitely got to put in, more time than you would put in working for someone else. So, but having both of us here, it became evident to me very quickly after I started here full time. Like, I realized all the stuff that was involved, because I knew what was involved with repairing cars and, keeping the customers updated and figuring out parts, and I knew how all that worked. But then you factor in the stuff you have to keep track of, being your own business as well, and that was, stuff that Zach was still learning when I had started here full time, and I was learning how that stuff worked and how much extra time's involved with all of that stuff. And I realized why he was here as long as he was those days, and that he didn't really have much of a choice.
Yeah, and it's crazy how busy how many people are bringing things here, because we're kind of like off the beaten path. We're not on the main drag, thank God, because we'd be, we wouldn't be able to get it all done. We'd be looking for a different shop.
Not with not with our current shop situation at least.
But you don't think about all that. I knew there was going to be more stuff I had to deal with, it being my own business and accounting and stuff that I was going to have to figure out that I've never done before. And I think for most starting a new business, like you're trying to get customers in the door and all that, so you have time to do that stuff. And like I was just trying to get all the cars done during the normal day, so
trying to keep the shop somewhat clean,
trying
tools
to
organized,
trying to keep up with all the other stuff of running a business was a lot. And that's but I knew those long days would pay off. And I think we're starting to see some of the rewards of that. I mean, just being here and not working for someone, it's still work, and some days you're working even harder, but you feel free, and that feeling of freedom, I think, keeps you going, and makes you a lot happier. So yeah,
I think that pretty much covered most of it. There's been a couple of things I would say the last few weeks, that we've done some stuff here and there that we wanted to record, and it didn't really make sense to make any videos car related or anything at the shop or his channel without updating you guys as far as where we were with the shop and how things were going and whatnot.
Yeah, there's
been
a big lapse of time since I've been posting regularly. I know I try and keep up with the reels and some of the cruising content and whatnot, but I never wanted to step away from YouTube. I always wanted to get to the point where I was doing at least every other week, if not weekly videos. And are we still recording, Jim?
Yeah, we're still good.
Thank God. But yeah, I always wanted to do YouTube. I always loved YouTube. It was one of my favorite hobbies, and I thought it went really well with us being into cars and stuff. But at the time where I was determined to do this, I knew there was no way I was going to be able to do YouTube and start my own business. As much as there was a lot of great content in there, and I was like, man, this would be so cool to record a series on starting your own garage and stuff. It wasn't in the playbook, so now we can kind of come back and talk to you about some of those experiences and stuff. And I think we got the shop to a point where Monday through Friday we got to focus on the shop, and on the weekends maybe we can get some of our projects in here or showcase some of the cooler things we've been working on in here, and do some videos for you guys. So the plan is to, I don't know if it'll happen right away, but the plan is to get to the point where we're doing every other or maybe weekly videos and recording some stuff on the weekends for you guys. But I gotta stress that as much as I want the YouTube to do well, and I think consistency on that is a big part of it, this shop is our #1 priority right now.
There's some weeks we do not have any extra time.
Yeah, there's a lot of weeks we don't have any extra time, which I'm so thankful for all the customers we have, and we did a little advertising to let people know we opened up, but we haven't really done a whole lot of advertising. Most of it's word of mouth. And for those of you that might want to start your own business, taking care of your customers, being honest with them. Sometimes you lose a little bit of money on a job to keep the customer happy. You definitely have to make money to run a business. If you're not making money, you're not going to have a business. But
that being said, I think
there's a line you got to draw.
We talked about it for a while in our first recording that we didn't remember to hit record on, but most of what brought Zach to the point that he was ready to start his shop, and I know back before I had started High Steel and I was trying to do that as well, the biggest thing that we had in common there is, even though we had different experiences in the shops we were working at, is well, it looks like somewhere along the line there, our cameras decided to stop recording on us again.
It's probably a good thing, because we would have just rambled on forever, and this would be like a 2-hour podcast video.
Which is not really what it's supposed to be, but it is it's a good bit of information that kind of led us to where we are today, and we wanted to share that with everyone. You know, it feels a little bit better now if we want to record something here or make a video that, you know, everyone kind of has a idea of how we got to this point.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple times there, you know, we wanted to film a video recently, but we knew we had to sit down and kind of do this and update everyone, and that, you know, was a whole time ordeal in its own to figure out, you know, when we could do that. So
yeah, so I mean, you guys kind of know our background now, how we got here. If you guys are new to the channel, new to us, definitely drop a subscribe. In the future, we're looking to do some cool stuff. We hope to get to the point where we're doing weekly videos. It might be, you know, once a month or twice a month at this point. But we kind of got the shop to the point where it's running good Monday through Friday. Definitely room for improvement and, you know, getting everything finely tuned or whatever. But on the weekends, we would like to take some time to be here and either film our own personal projects. Matt's got a VR6 swap Mark I Rabbit. I got a E36 with a 302. I have a 2011 Mustang GT. We'd like to do some stuff too. We have tons of cars personally that we want to do stuff to, and you know, we get a lot of cool stuff in here too from our customers that, you know, hopefully we can do
videos on.
Yeah, hopefully we can do some more performance and custom stuff in the future. Right now we're just happy to be doing whatever needs done, whatever it is, general repair or performance stuff. We work with Brad from Apex Auto. He gets a lot of cool stuff in. He's a huge help for us. He brings us a lot of business. So we definitely get some cool stuff in here. We wanted to film it before. We didn't have a chance to film a lot of it. We saw some reels and some stuff, which we'll keep the reels coming to you guys.
Yeah, those are easy enough to do.
Yeah, we can always sneak a reel in, you know, almost every day. So when we get cool stuff or interesting or stuff we want to teach or show you guys about, we'll try and keep the reels coming, and then on the weekends we'll try and at least put together some videos of whatever we're working on that's cool. I think we'd like to get our drift cars ready. We got 3 of them, so if we can get those ready, we might try and get to Evergreen or something this year. That's a huge goal of mine. But you know, I think I stated before, if the camera didn't cut off, this shop and this business is our #1 priority right now, and you know, to make something successful, you know, at least in getting started, once it's up and running, it might be a little different, but you've really got to commit everything to that, and that's kind of what we've been doing. So I'd like to see the YouTube take off too, but that's kind of like a secondary goal for us, more of a hobby thing for me. If it does take off, great. If not, you know, I'm happy sharing our experience to the people that want to see it.
I think the coolest thing for me, at least with the whole YouTube thing, I mean, I think everyone enjoys YouTube in a way, you know, just to, whether it's watching stuff that they want to do for themselves that they can't do, or, you know, just to learn or whatever it is. I think the coolest thing about making your own videos, whether you're sharing them publicly or not, is the fact that, you know, at any point in time in the future, you can go back and see where you were and, you know, how that led you to where you were, and, you know. Me personally, I know there's a lot of stuff that I've done in life that I remember it, but I don't remember it as well as I wish I did. And I think that's where it would have been cool if we could have, you know, done some more videos while we were in the process of setting this place up and whatnot.
There is a lot of cool stuff going through this process, and like both from like just looking back on experience point, but also from a knowledge and learning standpoint for other people that are interested in doing it. As a YouTuber and, you know, somebody that likes doing that stuff, it killed me to not pull out the camera and try and make videos on the stuff. But
there just wasn't time.
There wasn't enough time to do that. But, you know, looking forward here into the future for the shop, we hope to get Brandy here full time. And Josh is helping us out when he can. you know, when Brandy's here full time, there should be more opportunity for us to, you know, get some stuff on film and share some stuff with you guys. But, you know, to wrap it up, I just want to say I'm so thankful for all the supporters, friends, and family that have helped us get to this point and continue to help us grow. You know, whether it's bringing your cars here for service or just getting our name out there to other people and letting people know, you know, the good work that we do and how we're honest people. You know, I think Matt talked a little bit, like the place we're at, our landlords are great. They treat us more like family than, you know, renters. But
Help each other out. There's
we all-
a lot of stuff we can help them out with, and they can help us out with. So it's definitely a cool opportunity, you know, to be where we are. And happy to see where it goes in the future. So
yeah. Alrighty, Jim.
I think that wraps up Shop Babble #1.
Shop Babble #1. That's what we'll have to call it. Hopefully the next videos won't be Shop Babble. They'll be more hands-on and stuff.
Doing burnouts and shit.
Yeah.